My name is Therese Lacson, and I'm here with Collider, and I'm talking to Emily Andras from Wynonna Earp, but also specifically Wynonna Earp, Tales from Purgatory. Tales from Purgatory. I almost said vengeance because my mind is, I'm thinking about vengeance the entire time.
Right.
So I'm just going to jump right in. Emily, first of all, I'm very curious as to what brought about the idea for this project. Did you choose for it to be an audio drama? Did Audible approach you, or did you have the idea for yourself and you wanted to kind of shop it around?
So Audible approached us, which was incredible. And we were kind of batting it back and forth for about a year. I was certainly intimidated because it's such a different medium. And, you know, obviously the television show has our gorgeous actors. For the Audible dramas, you're just going to have to close your eyes and picture their beautiful faces when they're speaking. And then it became just so intriguing about what we could do in this medium versus on screen. So once we kind of figured out the anthology sort of system where we were going to tell different stories with different characters, kind of fill in some plot holes or maybe some backstory we wouldn't have had time to do on the show, it became so much fun. So,
okay. I mean, I'm curious, when did the ideas for these stories start forming for you in relation to vengeance? Because obviously it's been a very Wynonna Earp year.
I know.
This year, I feel like I'm going back into like, I don't know, 2020 when like my entire life was the show. Can you tell me a little bit about how it was like forming ideas for both of the projects?
It was really challenging. And I will give Audible a shout out. They were first, so way to go. But once it became apparent that maybe we were going to get a movie as well, it became a bit of a juggling act. But because we knew with the movie we were going to pick up well after the series had ended, we were kind of going to meet the cast and the actors where they are now. That felt like the most natural fit and the most interesting story to tell. I realized that it was a boon to Audible and the Tales from Purgatory because we could use those stories to fill in the gap pre-movie to kind of set up where everyone had been right after the events of the series. So it kind of was serendipitous, to be completely honest. They became really a great match for one another. And again, so lucky to have another year of Earp. So,
I mean, I love that you guys filled in like not just the time in between the movie and the TV show, but also some of the times that we were missing in the show itself, like when you had little jumps and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. I like getting into like everybody's life and stuff. I was like,
thanks.
Yeah. Like Nedley got his little segment.
I
was like,
he's so
very
good.
cute.
Nedley really was the MVP this year, I feel like. Yeah. In both the movie and Audibles. He's amazing. Yeah.
Truly, he's the
best.
best.
It turns out he can sing. So there you go. Quite a crooner. Who knew? Yeah.
The musical film is coming.
Yeah. Purgatory's Frank Sinatra. You heard it here first. So yeah.
So what was the biggest obstacle for you when it came to developing this as an audio drama?
I think, honestly, if you are a writer and you're not scared, it's not good. You should be scared all the time because you want it to be good. So I was definitely intimidated, again, taking it from a visual medium to purely auditory. And, you know, so much of Earp is kind of action and genre and supernatural creatures. So I was a little bit intimidated by creating a soundscape. I was like, are we going to be able to have enough story? Is it just going to be two people talking on the couch? But in fact, once you kind of dive in, you realize that you aren't constrained by budget, for example, which is amazing, right? Like you can put people on a plane. You can put people on an old-timey train back in 1884 or whatever you have. Like, so once I kind of wrapped my mind around that and realized just what we could create, it became really exciting. That being said, like all of us as writers come from a TV background, and we did kind of have to like work on some quirks we have, you know, like you can't sort of put Wynonna nods cheekily. Well, no, she has to say yes. Like you just can't kind of rely on those visual cues. But honestly, as well, the production from Audible was so incredible. When we kind of heard the finished product and watched it being made, I just couldn't believe how rich it was. You know, I really thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, I think the fact that it was a TV show first, I could listen to it and basically imagine like it was on in the background and I just wasn't looking at the TV.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, that's what we wanted. You know, we really wanted it to still feel like the characters you know and love and the tone and the jokes and stuff. So, yeah.
So I'm curious, obviously in this audio drama, you jump to different points in the timeline. How did you pick and choose where you wanted to go and like what points you wanted to sort of fill in.
I mean, we have a very passionate fandom, the Earpverse, so I have a pretty good sense of what they love and also what stories they were missing, to be honest. So an example is, there was a famous kind of storyline on the TV show where some people get whisked into a magical garden, and when they come out, there's been an 18-month time jump with people left behind to kind of wonder what happened to them and sort of that trauma. So that was a story for sure that I knew the fans would love, to know what had happened to Nicole when her love was missing for 18 months with no trace of her. That seemed like a very natural storytelling kind of opportunity. As well, like seeing Doc Holliday with Wyatt Earp back in the day, that just felt like almost like borderline fan fiction, something we might not be able to do on the show, but we did it so lovingly. I just think... And also there were characters who I knew were going to be underserved in Vengeance, for example. And then this felt like an opportunity to kind of give them their due, give them their own storyline, maybe in a way they wouldn't be able to have on the show. They, like Mercedes Gardner might not have had an A story on the show, but she's featured in one of the tales and so funny. So...
I mean, I love her. I love
that
story. That was really cute.
Yeah, she's the best. Good. I'm so glad you liked it.
So obviously Wynonna and Doc have a daughter, Alice, and I'm curious if you've ever thought about pursuing a future series with an older Alice, maybe, with her way hot younger cousin.
Oh my God, look at this. I want your outline on my desk by Monday. I love this pitch. Let's just greenlight it now. Just shock everybody and be
sure,
like, that's official,
wants to...
right? Contractual. Like, I would love Wynonna Earp Next Generation. Sure, of course. It's funny with Doc and Wynonna having a daughter. I think so much that is powerful about Wynonna's story is that she did give up her kid for a better life, right? I think that's a story that isn't always told about motherhood and about different ways to be a good mother. And honestly, having a kid on set is sometimes hard when you're running a budget show. But, sexy 17-year-old Alice stomping back into town in her boots, meeting her way hot cousin. I don't know what we're calling her.
I mean, her hair is going to be amazing for sure.
It's going to be incredible. I know, exactly. So I would definitely love that. And, it's always good to go back to a younger generation because they just get to repeat all the mistakes we all made all over again. But that's great. Yeah.
Right. I think it'd be entertaining for Wynonna to watch her daughter make the same mistakes and be like, oh, she's so dumb. And everybody be like, so you literally did the same thing.
It was cute when I did it, but like, this is really annoying. Exactly. And also seeing Wynonna try to become a mother again to a teenager. Good luck, girl. It's truly her biggest challenge ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that was exactly like her nightmare.
Yeah,
also.
Kind of. Yeah.
So one of the things I really enjoyed about these episodes specifically was the Calamity Jane episode.
Oh, thanks.
I really liked them going back in time and like getting to see more of like Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday together. Is that something that you'd be interested in pursuing, like looking more into the past, I guess, as far as the Western genre goes?
I mean, I have all the time in the world for like Tim Rozon as Doc Holliday in a sexy, gunslinging outfit when he was a real bad boy. I mean, again, I can eat that with a spoon all day long. I'm so glad you like Calamity Jane. I was really impressed with that performance. Like there's been a lot of, like Doc Holliday, there's been a lot of iconic Calamity Janes kind of like through film and television. I really thought she made it her own. I would love it. I think Wyatt Earp sort of like his shadow hangs over the entire series and Wynonna's legacy. So I would like to know more about him and what he was like and the curse that befell his family. And yeah, so far we have the spinoff and we have the backstory spinoff. This is going great, guys. 2025 is going to be even better for Earp. I'm very excited. Yeah.
We're going to have like 5 shows by the end of this.
I'm ready. We have lots of good writers. We can do it. Yeah.
So actually just talking about Wyatt Earp, I thought it was really interesting when I was watching the show that as the show went on, Wyatt sort of had a more, I guess, like morally gray twist to him.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if that was something that you had intended in the beginning or if that's something that just came with as you continued to sort of develop the show. Because there's some stuff that he says about Doc Holliday and that.
Yeah. Good for you. How dare you?
Excuse me, sir.
That's Doc Holliday. That's Doc Blue Eyes Holliday. I mean, very early on, I was really interested in the idea of heroism, right? I think Wynonna is such an unlikely heroine. She is a borderline alcoholic. She's promiscuous. She killed her own dad by accident. She was raised in foster homes. So then to be related to someone who is considered one of the biggest American icons of all time really interested me, right? Like, what if you do live in the shadow of a famous ancestor, but you know for a fact that maybe they were still just a person who had flaws and made mistakes and terrible choices. So I like the idea that Wyatt Earp kind of wrote his own history, but the truth was that, like everyone, he was not perfect, far from perfect. And Doc, who sort of considered himself the sidekick and maybe the borderline sociopath, actually had grown to have more of a conscience and kind of fall in love and put family first. I just think it's never too late to kind of grow into your own skin and your own chance to do good. I'm really interested in those themes of forgiveness and kind of choosing your own life and how you want to be perceived by the people who love you. So, but I would say we couldn't have done that storyline first year. Do you know what I mean? People were pretty nervous about saying Wyatt Earp was a big jerk because we don't know. Apologies to the Earp family, wherever you are in America. We don't know. He's a fictional character on our show. But I just like that idea that even heroes, they're more than anything the survivors of history. So who knows what choices they made to become that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think especially Doc is a good example of that because you definitely see him becoming a better person as the show goes on to like where he's very accepting, very open. I'm like, oh my God, this is a new man.
Yeah,
I love that for him.
think so. I like that he was sort of open-minded from like that he like wasn't intimidated by sexuality or gender. Like I think he saw a lot in the Old West and he just seemed more open-minded than Wyatt, who was a little more rigid. And it also makes me understand why Doc loves Wynonna, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I love them
that
together.
hair. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now that it's been there's been a bit of breathing room after Vengeance. I'm curious, what are your thoughts now in the sort of like post-mortem of it all? Like, what has been sort of the biggest reaction that you've gotten from fans, and also something that you mentioned to my colleague, Carly, when you were talking with her that you sort of pushed the envelope when it comes to stories. Was there a white whale story that you kind of hit in Vengeance, or is there still there's still more story to be told?
Oh, definitely more story to be told. And I would say, having been away from Earp and then coming back, I was kind of, again, sort of worried about, will I be able to find stories for these beloved characters, even though they've sort of been living in my soul my whole life. But I feel like we just opened a can of worms. Like, I feel like there's so many more stories to tell in the Earp universe. And look, we made some really controversial choices in the movie. We killed off some beloved characters. Sorry if you haven't seen it. Spoiler alert, you have 10 more minutes. But I think death is the ultimate story. And in a weird way, that felt natural too. That was certainly part of how we got the movie in the first place, is pitching something maybe we wouldn't have done on the series, something a little bigger. Feedback has definitely been mixed, but here's what I think about Earp that is the secret. The fans want to feel something. If they didn't care, we would have a problem. But you see that as well with Tales from Purgatory. They're loving the emotional ones. They're loving the Nedley storyline. They're loving kind of the heartbreak. So I just want to take you on a journey. And at the end of it, if you want more from me, even if you're angry at me, that's amazing. Because I would love to make Earp well into my Golden Girls years. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like the episode with Nicole where she's like struggling through, I was like crying during all the speech. I was like, this is really depressing.
I hope you were walking somewhere super public and people were just like, what is she listening to?
I'm always crying in public. So it's like,
me too. I love a good cry. A good cathartic cry, please. Can't beat it. It really freaks everyone out too, which is great. It gives you a lot of space. Yeah. But I'm so glad you like it. And that's such a Cat Burrell like ringer performance, right? Like, it was so fun recording these because, Audible was great. They brought everyone into the studio together, flew them in from wherever they were. And it makes such a huge difference when they can look into each other's eyes. Right. And honestly, it almost becomes like a play. And I think they had so much fun and confidence being together, being able to tap into those performances, even without the visual element. So yeah, Cat Burrell, though, total ringer. So good. She'll bring the feels, I know. Yeah.
I mean, that's very rare, I think, for audio, anything to like have them all in the room. So you can definitely feel that energy. But I mean, I could talk to you about Wynonna Earp all day, but I will let you go for now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. And everybody should go check out Wynonna Earp, Tales from Purgatory.
She's a genius. Sounds like a great idea to me. So thank you for being such a fan for so long. It's lovely to see you.